Congratulations, you finally made it to 4 p.m. You know what that means. Happy hour. It's time to kick back, relax, and dive into the world of sports with the Young Norvelle Show. Whether you're catching up on the latest scores, analyzing the big plays, or gearing up for tonight's games, we've got you covered. So grab a cold one, settle in, and let's talk sports. Here they are, Patrick Young and Terry Norvelle.
And then there were 16. That's right, 16 are left. We started with, well, depending on where you fall, we started with 64, 68. I say 64. We're down to 16. Sweet 16 has whittled itself apart from the rest of college basketball, and certainly at least until Florida is eliminated, hopefully the next 2 weeks, our show will be dominated by college basketball, as it is a great time of year. March Madness well underway. Boy, did you get enough basketball Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A lot of fun. Not as many upsets as some people would prefer, but enough of the big boys. And, boy, the SEC has flexed its muscle like a lot of people thought it would. We'll talk about that. All the games, Florida, UConn. What a ball game. What a Ali Frazier. What a heavyweight battle that game was. All the side stories from Florida, UConn yesterday we'll get into. And we'll look around. There will be 4 games on Friday. 4 games on Thursday. 4 games again on this Friday. Then you will have 2 games on Saturday. 2 games on Sunday. And by late Sunday evening, we will have a Final Four. We will take the rest of that following week off, and then those 4 teams will converge in San Antonio, which is where everybody wants to get to. Everybody wants to go to the Alamo, I guess, get to San Antonio, where in the Alamo Dome on Saturday, April 5th, and then Monday, April 7th, a college basketball champion will be crowned. Now, because of Florida's win yesterday, we do know there will be a brand new champion in college basketball. UConn, the 2-time, not 1-time, but 2-time defending champions, they were knocked out. A lot of things, issues, discussion points, controversy maybe, and of course, you can't talk UConn basketball, win, lose, or draw without talking Danny Hurley. Before we get into everything, and before I forget, I made the prediction last week, and I went on 3 or 4 times on this show last Wednesday, maybe Thursday, Friday, and it was a little tongue-in-cheek, but it was fun. And I said, my prediction for Florida versus UConn, I think Florida will win the game, and they did. And I made a little fun prediction. I said, I predict that UConn head basketball coach Danny Hurley will be ejected from the ballgame. Okay? And you're like most of us listening and watching this show. You watched yesterday, and it was such a intense game, and it was a grinder game, and you could feel it kind of grinding into the second half and grinding with 10 minutes to go. And grinding with 5 minutes to go. There was a dead ball, the under 4-minute timeout. And I don't know if anybody else watched this and thought of me. Hopefully you're not watching and thinking of me on the weekend. Hopefully you've got a better life going on than thinking of Terry Norvelle on the weekend. But the under 4-minute timeout yesterday, they had a shot of Danny Hurley. And UConn, like most teams, they will have their timeout. They'll set their chairs out on the court, away from the front row of the fans, a little more privacy, little quieter. The under 4-minute timeout yesterday, Danny Hurley was so enraged with the officials, he shot out onto the court. And I'm telling you, at one point, and the camera was on him for a split second, and then they got away, and they didn't make a thing of it. I'm watching the game with my daughter, and I'm going, that should be a technical foul. He's way out on the court. And I'm telling you, at that millisecond, had those officials teed up Danny Hurley, he would have been ejected. He would have gone ballistic. What an ending to the game. Florida the Gators kind of walked through, I thought, the first half. The speed of the game, the physicalness of the game, kind of got by Florida a little bit. There were some reasons, I think, that the first half set up well for UConn. We'll get into that. Florida, UConn, what a game. The SEC, what an opening weekend. The SEC is funny. The SEC was getting picked out a little bit. 14 teams made it, and those teams, 14, 13, 12, 11 or so, 10, the Texas team, the Georgia team, the Oklahoma team, some of those teams, Vanderbilt, that probably didn't deserve to be in, but you got to put somebody in. Well, they were getting knocked off, but that's the back half of the big bad SEC. No, save for Texas A&M, who I thought blew the game against Michigan. Texas A&M had control of that game. Texas A&M, the only upper echelon team that got beat. The SEC ran roughshod with their top 6 or 7 teams. But we'll get into that. We'll get into how the tournament's played out. The 2 biggest wins so far, when you look at seeding and just biggest wins, the 2 biggest wins in the tournament sitting here right now, and let me back up. Let me backtrack a little bit. There are no Cinderellas now. McNeese State had a cute little win earlier. Okay, that was one and done. McNeese, you're done. Drake had a nice win. Okay, Drake, you're cute. So there are no Cinderellas. The 2 biggest wins so far in the tournament are clearly SEC wins knocking off higher seeds. And this plays to the SEC was a gauntlet this year. Ole Miss, a 6th seed, knocked off Iowa State last night. That's a big loss. That's a big loss for Iowa State in the Big 12. That is a big win for the SEC. Iowa State has spent most of this year in the top 15, and they flirted with the top 10 all year. They're a good basketball program. That was a really, really nice 6-3 win for the SEC. And frankly, the biggest win in the tournament as we sit right now, halfway home, as we sit right now, the biggest win was from the West Regional. 10-seed Arkansas knocking off number 2 St. John's and kicking the Wax Mummy out of the tournament. The Wax Mummy being Rick Pitino. Arkansas 10 over 2-seed St. John's, the biggest win of the tournament so far. That is why I think 2 of the main reasons why the SEC has held up their end of the bargain, and they're puffing their chest out a little bit. 7 of your 16 teams standing. 7 of the Sweet 16 teams. 16 teams are left. 7 of them from the SEC. Wow. What a great weekend for the SEC. What a fun weekend for college basketball. Now, where do we go? We're going to have Brent Beard about 5 o'clock. Brent will dive into the entire tournament, as you would expect. Brent Beard, our great college football and basketball analyst. He will give us his insight on the SEC and what is left. So, I think I went over it. I'm going to do it again. Here's where we're at. 16 teams are left in the tournament. Tournament takes the next 3 days off. Thursday, you've got 4 games. You will have a couple of games in the East region, and you will have a couple of games in the West. Friday, the rest of the Sweet 16 gets going. You will have 2 teams in the South region, 2 games in the South region, and then you will have 2 games in the Midwest. Saturday, you'll have 2 games featuring 4 teams at 1. Sunday, 2 games featuring 4 teams at 1. When those games play out this Saturday and this Sunday, we will be down to 4. We will have the final 4. They will wrap around until the following Saturday, April 5th, normally around 6:38, 9:15 or whatever. 6:38, 8:38 would be kind of roughly the Saturday final 4 games, and then the 2 teams will meet Monday evening, April 7th. The final 4 will be contested in San Antonio. So that's the setup. If you're not aware, I want to go through the schedule in case you haven't peeked ahead. It was pretty much set yesterday afternoon, evening. Here is where we are at with our games as we welcome Patrick Young. Mr. Young been traveling. While he's getting settled, let me throw this out for people that might not know. Okay, the tournament will take the next 3 days off. The tournament will then reconvene on Thursday. 2 regions will have games. You will have in the East. First game of the day on Thursday will be in the evening. Thursday, 7:09 tip, Alabama, BYU. The second game in the East, after Alabama, BYU, will be Duke taking on Arizona. Thursday, 9:39. Now, there will be 2 other games in a different region on Thursday, this coming Thursday. The early game in the West region in San Francisco will be Florida taking on Maryland. Thursday, 7:39. The early game on Thursday out of the West. The second and night game Thursday out of the West, same court, Texas Tech, Arkansas, 10:09. Then we go to Friday. You will have the South region tipping off Friday. The early game in the South on Friday, 7:09 tip, Ole Miss taking on Michigan State with Auburn and Michigan to follow. And then your last 2 games of this round will be out of the Midwest on Friday, 7:39, all SEC. Kentucky taking on Tennessee for a right to move on to the Elite Eight, and that game will be chased on Friday night. In Indianapolis, you will have number 1 seed Houston in the region taking on Purdue. Patrick Young, welcome. My man, have you seen enough basketball from this past? Well, what a weekend of basketball, my man. Look at that shirt.
Check out the shirt.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That's you got to be a cool kid to get that.
I know I don't have it, man. Good looking shirt, Pat. I know you've had a heck of a trip, man, going up to Charlotte to do your SEC studio work, and then I think Pat. I'm going to confirm. I think Pat snuck over to Raleigh and took in. Pat, is that right? You took in the Gator game?
My bad.
No, go ahead. Good shirt, man.
There
Great
you go.
looking shirt. That's Gator shirt there,
There
right?
you go.
Ooh, that
Gator
looks
shirt. Yeah, got all the guys. Even Olivier Roux.
nice.
Olivier Roux's right here in the back.
I like it a lot, man. That looks good. Catch people up. Number 1, your itinerary, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and where you been, where you at. Talk to us, Pat.
Well, I don't have to travel until Saturdays since we don't have the rights to anything until they're off air with the network. So
Sure.
got in to Charlotte around 4 or 5 o'clock and gave me some time to chill and get some food before going in the studio and watch the games. Yeah, Saturday was a really long, weird day in studio. We had so many baseball. Yeah, I don't want to talk about baseball. We had so many baseball highlights and softball highlights. And then, we probably do a little bit of something around 10 o'clock.
Woo.
And then we would sit and wait until everything's done to do our late show.
Woo.
I think I got back to the hotel at 1 a.m. But I wasn't able to sleep in because
Gators.
my mom and I, we got tickets for the game. So she drove from Charlotte to Raleigh, 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back. It was worth it, man.
Okay.
Definitely worth it. It was nail biting game until the last 5 minutes. UConn was just playing better. Not like they weren't playing great, but they were just playing better.
I agree.
They weren't playing good enough to beat the Gators, like to really beat them, because they couldn't break away.
No.
And Walter Clayton and Will Richard went crazy in the second half.
Yeah.
Especially Walter, his 3 for 3 in the second half, and all in like the same spot.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Pull up jump shots.
Beautiful.
And then we drove back. I did not have time for a nap. Had to go straight back to the studio and worked last night, and then I'm back in Jacksonville So
Wow.
it's been fun.
Good work. I'm so happy you got to go to the game, Florida, UConn. Pat, let's talk about that game. Obviously, you were courtside. You know the game. You've played the game. So many areas, and we can get to Danny Hurley and his post game, and it went viral, and we can get to all that. But the game, it was two good teams. A proud. Hey, say what you want about Danny Hurley, and I don't like the guy necessarily. I'm not gonna have a beer with him, but what a proud team and what a proud program. They played hard.
They fought. They played hard, man.
Hey, they played hard.
They didn't have that dominating big man that they've had the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They had Sanogo, the first championship, and then they had Klingon, who both of those guys are in the NBA right now. So that guy, I mean, the big guy Sampson, he was solid. I don't want to take away from his ability, but he just wasn't. He's not one of those guys.
Klingon was a 7'2" guy. Remember that big old dude?
Yeah, Klingon was 7'2", and he could move and jump, and he was really athletic. He gave Zach Edey everything he wanted.
Hey, what a shame! And I want you to break this down from your basketball knowledge. Number one, let me qualify. What a shame that a lot of people now think have always kind of thought Danny Hurley was a little bit of a you-know-what, and he kind of fostered that image with his comments. But he's a guy, he knows basketball. Some of the stuff he drew up, they gave Florida fits. Some of the stuff he drew up way out high. Talk about what he drew up.
He does such a great job with. So let's just say the ball's on the left wing.
Okay.
And there's two guys over there. Who has so many actions on the other side that those defenders can't just stand there and wait. They got to be communicating through. And I mean, and he drew up some great plays after those timeouts to get his guys wide open shots. The kid, man, did you hear that the Montverde team from last year?
Oh, they showed it. They showed it, the graphic. Oh, my God, the players on that team, Pat. The players on that team.
Bring that up because Liam McNeely was there too. So, yeah, they went 33-0. Whatever they should have. That squad would have gone undefeated all 4 years if they were together all 4 years.
No doubt. Patrick, let's switch. And I was really impressed with what UConn ran. They knew they knew how to play basketball. That was impressive. Conversely, the second half, our guy Todd Golden, he finally throws that three-quarter press to kind of change the tempo. He kind of changed the tempo. And then, Pat, talk about it. You've always referenced the high pick and roll and how to run it. Florida started running that high pick and roll at the tip-top of the key. It was Houck, it was Condon, and then Clayton would loop around. And it was almost like Florida just read what UConn did defensively. If they went with the roller, there was a shot. If they didn't go with the roller, you dumped it down and they got a dunk. That was pretty basketball that Florida ran those last 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, I think that UConn was trying to maybe not necessarily trap Walter off the pick and roll, but they wanted to get the ball out of his hands.
Yeah.
And Condon and Houck made them pay. There were a few possessions where Shinyulu and Condon got some wide open dunks because of their pick and roll coverage and staying too long.
Yeah.
As well. And yeah, I mean, it helps when you have bigs like Condon that you leave him at the top of the key wide open. He's going to take the shot, and more than likely he's going to make it.
Yeah.
Same thing for Houck. Like, you leave those guys wide open. Like I'm not going to say they're not going to beat you knocking down. You don't expect those guys to knock down 3 or 4 a game.
No.
But they're going to knock them down. They're going to make you. They're going to make it so you have to get there to defend them on the catch.
Yeah.
You have to. And Condon had a pretty quiet game for the most part until the end.
Yeah, he got going at the end. He did. But Pat, both Houck and Condon, when they get that ball at the top of the key on that pick and roll, they can also handle good enough that if they can dribble by the other big man guarding them. They can.
Oh yeah. And I really wish. I wish Coach Donovan would have instilled that, because there's so many guys I know now that I could have driven past or taken to the hoop. It was just like you don't want to turn the ball over.
Yeah.
But I knew I was good enough because I did it when I became professional. I did it a lot more often. Like if a guy is like trying to guard anybody. If someone's trying to get all up on you
Yeah,
at the 3-point line, you got the advantage because they have no idea you can just rip and go. All you
yeah,
need is a step to
yeah,
beat them. Um, but hindsight is 2020. But coach has done a great job in terms of just instilling confidence in his guys and them not panicking. Even when UConn went on a little bit of run, I think they were down
yeah,
8.
yeah,
I was panicked because or worried because UConn started getting a lot of offensive rebounds too, extending some possessions. And I'm like, dang, they're beating Florida at their own game.
yeah,
Um, they could not they couldn't score enough to keep Florida
yeah,
away.
yeah,
That's what you have to score enough late. You can't keep it within 3
yeah,
possessions.
yeah.
It's got to be if you're trying to beat Florida and it's late, you need to be up by at least 5 or 6 possessions,
I agree.
or they're going to come back.
I agree. Pat, I think you might have missed on a number you threw out. At in the first half, some people I think would think, man, UConn, they kind of won that half. They dominated. UConn never led in the game more than 6. So
6 there was.
they never got away from it. Pat, I thought the first half was very weird, and I want to throw out what I saw, and I want you to comment.
Oh, my
The
phone's going to die.
the first half of the game, UConn missed so many shots so bad. I thought Florida was in great defensive rebounding position. They missed so bad the balls bounced over them. Patrick, does
Over
that
their
make
heads,
sense?
yeah.
It was crazy. They missed so bad that it worked to UConn's advantage, I thought, in a weird way.
Yeah, long shots usually the long rebounds, and if they're bad misses, they're going to be long and hard off the rim.
Yeah, yeah, I thought so. What was the game was in Raleigh, UConn in Florida. Duke was second, so a lot of Duke fans.
There's a lot of Duke fans.
I could see from the crowd there were a lot of Dukes already taken in the first game. What was the atmosphere? What was kind of the split? Was it a lot of UConn, a lot of Florida fans? What'd you think? The crowd?
UConn. It seemed like UConn just had a little section in front of their bench across, like a little condensed area, and then it's kind of hard to tell with the blue.
Yeah, sure,
With
sure.
but where I was at, it seemed to be a good amount of Gators, but there were a
Yeah,
lot of Dukies out there.
yeah. Watching basketball, sure they were. Pat, I thought, and I don't know how close you were to courtside, but from the television vantage point, I go against a little bit of what Danny Hurley was complaining about. I thought the officials did a pretty good job. They were pretty fair. I thought if they erred one way or the other, I certainly thought they let the UConn bigs get away with a lot more physicality than the Florida bigs. And I also thought when UConn drove the lane with their guards, they called a lot on Florida's bigs, whereas when Florida drove in the lane, I thought they didn't call as much. But what was your? I thought they let UConn's bigs get away with a lot more than Florida's bigs down low. Hand-to-hand combat.
Uh, I don't specifically remember, but
Okay.
there definitely were some times where it seemed like the officiating was leaning towards one side, being UConn, them getting in the game, staying in the game. I know Ruben Chinula, he got 4 fouls, kind of quick. I don't think he didn't really
Yeah.
impact too
Yeah.
much in the game. But when Elijah Martin went to get that dunk, that was a foul.
Yeah.
That was a missed call. Yeah,
Yeah.
it would have been
Yeah.
nice if he finished it, but
Yeah.
he definitely got fouled.
Yeah, on the flying dunk that he missed. And that was big at that moment. That was really, really big. That missed dunk could have been a really, really a really big moment in that ball game. Hell of a game though. The two teams went at it really, really hard. I think we may have lost Pat in his area. We'll try and get him back. But we want to stay on the Florida game. What a shame also that most people that won't see UConn play basketball for a long time now, it was a bad look. That video that went viral and I'm assuming you have to qualify. I'm assuming it wasn't AI. It looked legitimate with Danny Hurley leaving the court, going in the tunnel, and saying some expletives about the officiating. What a shame that a lot of people are going to continue to associate Danny Hurley with being a blankety blank, because he can be. He's got a personality. He reminds me of the modern day Bobby Knight. He reminds me of Bobby Knight. Bobby Knight was so easy to hate, and he brought a lot of it on himself with his abrasive personality. Bobby Knight also was a great basketball coach. I think Danny Hurley's a really good basketball coach. He drew some stuff up, I thought, yesterday that he and his coaching staff, I mean, they ran good stuff. They ran good stuff on offense. But when you start, I think hundreds of thousands of people after yesterday's game, when they see and hear Danny Hurley, they're going to, oh, that's that surly blankety blank. Lost, and I wanted to throw this to Patrick, but I think we've lost Pat for the rest of the show. We'll have Brent Beard at 5 o'clock. Lost in yesterday's game, late in the game when Florida was trying to close it out. Certainly they were going to be pressed full court, and if they didn't get the ball in cleanly, if there was a steal, there was a steal. If they didn't get the ball in, they were going to get fouled. I thought Todd Golden drew up some good stuff. I thought he drew up some really good stuff. Florida didn't execute one time when they tried to get the ball to Houck down low. Should have been up high. He was wide open. But I thought Todd Golden, particularly one inbounds, baseline, Florida bringing the ball in near the sideline. I think, and I guess it would be where the announcer was at. I thought Florida ran some great action that Todd Golden drew up to get the ball inbounds. You know, you think about, well, when a game gets to that point, you know, under 2 minutes to go, you think, okay, got to make free throws. Okay, well, that's wonderful. Got to get the ball in bounds. That's first. Getting the ball in bounds cleanly will allow you to get fouled. Then you got to make the free throws. I thought Todd Golden was really good at some of the stuff he drew up to get the ball in. And tip of the hat, and I know it's kind of basketball 101 from the high school level, tip of the hat to the officiating crew that didn't fall for the pull down late in the game. And I don't blame UConn at all for trying this, but Florida had had three guards in the game. Walter Clayton was taking the ball out. The two guards on the court were facing Clayton, and UConn was fronting them. They did the wraparound, hug him to the ground, hoping to get a call. Neither official down in that area fell for that, and I thought that was a good job by the officials. All right, let's take a break here. We went a little bit long, but wanted to get a lot of stuff in. We'll come back. I've got some more thoughts on Florida-UConn, the March Madness tournament, where we're at in general, and that'll lead us toward the top of the hour. Brent Beard joining us for college football and basketball talk, mainly college basketball talk, as we catch our breath. We take 3 days off, and then the Gators are right back at it again. If you haven't heard, Florida will play their next game in the West Regional out in San Francisco. That's a 7:39 tip on Thursday. It'll be the second game tipped off of four. 4 games Thursday, 4 games Friday, 2 and 2 Saturday and Sunday, and then we're down to the Final Four. A lot of college basketball coming up on the other side. The Young Norvelle Show continues on Action Sports Jacks.
At Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, we know pain and injuries can stop you from doing what you love. This is why our board-certified orthopedic specialists offer the latest in both non-surgical and surgical treatment options and create a treatment plan tailored to your unique lifestyle and goals. So, whether it is a sports injury or that nagging pain that's keeping you from doing what you love, our team has the right treatment for you. For more information or to schedule an appointment online, visit our website.
Finally, a family atmosphere, kid-friendly restaurant with a real sports bar feel. Bricks Jack's Beach features all of that and a large, climate-controlled covered patio with misting fans and heaters for all seasons. Mix in an extremely diverse menu that features the most quality and affordable steak at the beach, and there's no reason not to enjoy your next lunch, dinner, happy hour, or big sporting event at Bricks Jack's Beach, 300 2nd Street North in Jacksonville Beach. See you at Bricks Jack's Beach.
You really got to hand it to him. Hold on.
The previous play is under further review.
I'm not sure what he could review, but okay. Sure has been a while. Dynamic Hurricane Grill and Wings for the football season. Well, there he is. Oh, what is that?
The Action Sports Jax 24/7 network is streaming. I'm Stuart Weber, and I'm here to teach you a nice 3-step process on how you can watch all your favorite programming from the Brent and Austin Show every weekday 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or the Cup Date with me. It's fantastic. We talk NASCAR. It's a great time. Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. All right, first step, easy. Download the Action News Jax app. You probably already have it downloaded on your phone, so you might already have that one taken care of. Step 2, see that stack of pancakes up there? You click that stack of pancakes, and it's going to bring down step number 3, which is a full screen of all the different streams that you can click on, including the Action Sports Jax 24/7 stream. You click that, the video's rocking and rolling on your mobile device. You're watching all the shows you want to, and you're having a good time. You can also do it on your smart TV with the Action News Jax Now app. I do it on my Samsung TV at home. It's a great way to watch it on a nice, large screen for all the content. That's the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Hope you can find it.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater or something a bit more intricate. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Hey, I know it's a lot of college basketball talk this time of year, and it will be for the next couple of weeks, certainly if Florida stays alive. But, hey, are you going to the baseball game tomorrow? Florida State baseball, their annual game in Jacksonville. Gators and the Noles getting it on tomorrow. I think first pitch is 6:30. I believe it is 6:30 tomorrow at the baseball grounds. Hey, if you're going down, if you're in the area, stop by that bar at the arena. You know, that bar right next to the arena. The arena, of course, is across the street from the baseball grounds. We should be set up and broadcasting our show 4 to 6 o'clock, right before first pitch. We'll be at that bar at the arena. Come by, have a beer, say hi as you are pre-gaming, heading over to Florida State baseball. The Noles are off and running 20-3. Florida State. Link Jarrett has got the Seminoles ranked 4th in the recent poll that just came out. They are 20-3. The Noles over the weekend took 2 of 3 from Miami. So Florida State, as expected, they are looking at a big season. It looks like 20-3. The Gators are absolutely scuffling in baseball. Some injury induced, but boy, Florida is really struggling. The Gators are 18-18 overall, 0-6 in SEC play. They were swept in their first 3-game series last weekend at Tennessee. The defending national champion Volunteers swept Florida in Knoxville. And then Georgia rolled into Gainesville Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This past Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Dogs put a knot on the Gators' head in 3 games. They have swept Florida along with Tennessee sweeping Florida. The Gators 0-6. Georgia, I know the first game was 8-7, but Georgia really ran away with that game. Florida made it close. The Dogs opened up Friday night, hitting home runs, and they never stopped until they got on the bus and headed out of Gainesville. 8-7 Georgia. What was it? 17-2, I think, game 2, and 15-4 Georgia routed Florida. Now, one intriguing thing is it's a midweek game. You never know what you're getting on the Hill. Florida and Florida State have played once this year. The Gators actually won a week or so ago, about 10 days ago, in Tallahassee. They knocked FSU out of the ranks of the undefeated. Florida put the first loss on Florida State in baseball this year, but man, oh man, the Gators are really, really scuffling heading into tomorrow's Florida State, Florida annual game in Jacksonville. The game is sold out. There will be a crowd in the neighborhood of 11 to 12,000, at least once it gets going. And again, if you're heading down, Gators or Noles, or just a baseball fan heading down tomorrow, you'll get there 4:30, 5 o'clock. Swing by that bar at the arena. It's the bar right there next to the big arena, which is across from baseball. Come by, say hi. We should be set up live. I think Patrick will be there as well. Baseball tomorrow in the middle of all of this basketball. Speaking of basketball, I thought the Texas Longhorns made a pretty good hire. Of course, they fired Rodney Terry. You had to let him go. 2 years at Texas. Probably the wrong hire. The Longhorns men's basketball program has been one of those sports that Texas just can't seem to get it right. They fire Rodney Terry. Did he get to the tournament? Yeah, sort of. It was a play-in. They really were no factor. Rodney Terry fired. Texas hired Sean Miller. I think a pretty good hire. Sean Miller, you know that name. He was most recently hired from Xavier. He just came over from Xavier. This is his second stop at Xavier. He was at Xavier a long time ago and he cut his coaching teeth at Xavier, then went to Arizona and had great success. I don't think he ever quite won a title, but Sean Miller had great success. Might have had a little bit of stuff follow him, but nothing bad. But Sean Miller, now named the Texas Longhorns men's basketball coach. I think that's a pretty good hire. All right, let's get back to March Madness. We've really broken down Florida, UConn. We'll do that more with Brent Beard coming up after the top of the hour. Once we kick off the 5 o'clock hour, Brent will have a lot of thoughts on the SEC going 7 for 16. That is record-breaking and very impressive. The SEC, 7 teams of the 16 still standing. Now, other things from the tournament over the weekend. I've never been, if you follow our show here, you know, I've never been a big Rick Pitino. I don't like the slippery car salesman guy. And Rick Pitino is one of those guys. I think John Calipari is that guy. And they coached against each other this past weekend. So Rick Pitino, St. John's, they get eliminated. They get knocked out very, very, very early. I know I'm not the only guy that noticed this. You saw Rick Pitino, St. John's, a 2 seed, by the way. That was a big win. Big win for Arkansas. 10, knocking off 2. Big win. My God, Rick Pitino looks weird, doesn't he? He's obviously got work done to his face over the years. I'm not so sure he hasn't done some skin work. You know, sometimes you can have those derma whatevers and try to, I don't know, sand down your skin and bleach your skin. Man, I know I'm not the only guy that feels like Rick Pitino looks like a wax museum figure of Rick Pitino. God bless him. He looks. I'm glad he's out. You know, St. John's, I watched most of almost every dribble of that game the other day. Arkansas knocking out St. John's, a 10 beating a 2. And Pitino's team was hard to watch. They take pride, a little bit like UConn yesterday, but St. John's under Pitino, you could tell they take pride. We're this tough Northeastern New York, New Jersey team. We're tougher than you. We'll beat you up. We'll elbow you and put. Yeah, that's great, but you have trouble putting the ball in the basket. It was a tough watch. I was happy that Arkansas beat St. John's. St. John's out. Big upset. Really the biggest upset of the season, the March Madness tournament, actually, with a 10. Legitimate 10 knocking off a legitimate 2. I'm happy. I'm tired of Pitino. He's been around long enough. I'm done with him. But my goodness, the wax figure that is Rick Pitino. Not picking at the guy, but my, oh my. Sometimes all that face work, I think it works in the opposite. Sometimes Pitino out. We talked about Arkansas 10 over a 2. I also thought the second best win so far in March Madness belongs to another SEC team. Ole Miss, this didn't get a lot of play. Ole Miss, a 6 seed. They went in and knocked off 3 seed Iowa State last night. I thought that was a big win. Iowa State, I know they've had injuries just like everybody this time of year. Iowa State is a good basketball program. TJ, and I can't ever pronounce his last name, really good coach. Iowa State, it's not a surprise if Iowa State makes the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight. Ole Miss knocking off Iowa State was a second big win, I thought, for the SEC. Now, where does it stand? And if you watch or follow our show here, the Young Norvelle Show on Action Sports Jacks, you know I've used the word cannibalize a lot the last couple of weeks. I expect the SEC to cannibalize each other because so many were going to get in the tournament, 14. There are still 7 teams left out of 16 total. Well, doing that math, and I don't really like it, but I predicted the SEC, when this thing is all said and done, I think the SEC will knock out the SEC 2, maybe 3 times. We know it's going to happen Friday. We've got a straight-up SEC cannibalization game. Kentucky on Friday will tip it off against Tennessee. SEC versus SEC. Kentucky, Tennessee, Friday, 7:39, Midwest region in Indianapolis. Winner moves on to the Elite Eight. So that will be one. We have potential in the South. Auburn is still alive. One of 4 teams still alive. Ole Miss. It would be hard for Ole Miss to get by Michigan State. I'll be rooting for them. But you could have SEC versus SEC if Auburn and Ole Miss both win in the South. We will see. You could have the same situation in the West. Florida will play Maryland. I do think Florida gets by Maryland. I think it'll be relatively easy. Florida, Maryland in the West on Thursday. The other game out there, Texas Tech and Arkansas. Arkansas is getting healthy. They're very athletic. If Florida and Arkansas win, they could be another SEC versus SEC matchup in the West region final. On the left side, it cannot happen because Alabama is on the left, the right side of the East, it could not happen. Alabama is the only SEC team left on the right side, East regional. Duke takes on Arizona. BYU takes on Alabama. So Bama could win and move on, but they will not face an SEC team in the Elite Eight. But they certainly possibly could face, if they could get by Duke probably, an SEC team in the Midwest. The Midwest, as I told you, Kentucky, Tennessee this Friday. SEC loser goes home. SEC winner moves on to the Elite Eight. If Kentucky or Tennessee, whoever wins that game, will take on the winner of Houston, Purdue. Now, Kentucky, Tennessee winner could stay alive and face Alabama if Alabama somehow was to upset Duke, which it looks like they've got a game coming up with Duke if they get that far. So, a perfect SEC Final Four would be Auburn, Ole Miss, whoever survives in the South. Florida, Arkansas, whoever survives in the West. That's the left side of the bracket. Alabama coming out of the East. And Kentucky, Tennessee, if one of those guys could fight their way to the Final Four, you could have all 4 Final Four. Very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. But it could happen. All right, one other topic here. As we shoot to the top of the hour, I want to get Brent Beard on, get him to break down his thoughts on the tournament and a lot of stuff we've already talked about. On a scale of 1 to incredibly irritating, how irritating was the incessant cutaway television shot during Florida-UConn? They must have cut away the CBS director in that game, running that game for TV. They must have cut away 7 or 8 times, and I'm not exaggerating. If you saw the game, please corroborate on a chat message here. I'll try to get to it. They must have cut away 7 or 8 times to the UConn basketball player's mom. I was watching the game with my daughter. We could not be the only two in the world that were going, okay, hey, early in the game, this guy, I think McNeely was his name for UConn, he's going to the free throw line. Early in the game, 2 minutes into the game, here's McNeely, UConn's good player, he's at the free throw line. Hey, let's cut away while he's about to shoot his free throw. Hey, there's his mom, and she's, the nervous mom, hands like this. Okay, that's cute. That's one. And a little bit later, he gets some camera time for doing whatever. Hey, let's cut away again to the mom, and one more time to the mom. Okay, there's 3 times. They must have cut away to her 4 or 5 times in the first half, and then a couple, 2 or 3. I couldn't be the only guy that was upset about that. It was terrible, absolutely. How many times did we have? And as the game played out, okay. Well, the director in the truck has decided, okay, this must be a good human interest. Here's the mom grinding through the game, watching her son. Okay, that's been done a million times. And UConn, the underdog. UConn, some good stories. UConn, the back-to-back defending champions. UConn trying to spring it up. So, okay, as the game played out in the first half, okay, I could see they go to her once. Maybe twice. Well, maybe one more time. Well, you could tell the guys in the truck running the game, they were hoping that UConn was going to win the game. And they could keep flashing. And it wouldn't, had UConn won that game, it wouldn't have surprised me if the director on his headset to his courtside personnel said, hey, go get we're going to do McNeely in an interview post-game. Go get his mom. Bring her on the court. It got awkward. They were cutting to her so many times. And I know I'm not the only guy. I know I'm not the only one that went there. I know. Oh, it was incessant. It was absolutely incessant. All right, one more topic I want to get to here, at least one more before the top of the hour. This could happen, and it would be pretty cool. It's not an SEC this could happen, but it would be pretty cool. You realize in the South region, as that region moves to Atlanta, if Michigan, with 2 7-footers, Michigan's pretty good. They're not real physical 7-footers, but they've got 2 legit 7-footers. Michigan will play Auburn Friday in the second game. Earlier on Friday, Ole Miss will play Michigan State. It's not out of the realm of possibility. You realize Michigan could beat Auburn. Michigan State could beat Ole Miss. What about that brawl? You could have Michigan State moving on to the Elite Eight in Atlanta, taking on Michigan for a right to get to the Final Four. Ooh, yeah, that is juicy. That is very juicy. Jumping across diagonally, I guess, to the Midwest. Speaking of Friday, 7:39. We know it's going to be an all-SEC game at 7:39 on Friday in the Midwest in Indianapolis. Kentucky takes on Tennessee. Kentucky's a 3 seed. Tennessee, of course, is a 2 seed that has flirted with a 1 seed all year. How about that game? And, you kind of lean toward Tennessee, but did you know Kentucky beat Tennessee twice this year? Kentucky has 2 wins. Is that, if you are a Kentucky fan, are you excited or nervous about the odds? But Kentucky knocked off Tennessee twice this year in the regular season. Houston, Purdue should have a huge crowd there in Indianapolis. I also would think that Kentucky will have a bigger crowd when they face Tennessee, but Purdue, obviously West Lafayette, Indiana, playing in Indianapolis. Boy, that's nice for Purdue. If you're Houston, you're like, what the hell? We're the 1 seed. Why are we catching the 4 seed basically on one of their home courts? Speaking of basically one of their home courts, holy cow, Duke. How about Duke? They open up their first 2 games in Raleigh. Duke is in Raleigh-Durham, right? Isn't Duke in Raleigh-Durham? Duke has played basically 2 home games, and then they kind of scooch up the coast and go to Newark, for God's sakes. That is nice. That is real nice. I'm going to get on this, and I'll get Brent Beard as well. And I'm being serious here with this topic. I'm really, 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 really surprised that the teams that have now moved on to the West Regional, that is Florida, Maryland, Texas Tech, Arkansas. I am stunned that, and let me back up, Florida, UConn, Florida and UConn played in Raleigh. Maryland played Colorado State in Seattle. So think about this. And those were Friday, Sunday matchups, okay? You either play Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday if you keep winning. I was stunned that particularly Florida, Maryland, I think they really got screwed. Now, they're playing each other, but I think Maryland even got the short end of the stick here. Do you realize Florida played in Raleigh, right? So they opened up in Raleigh, Norfolk State. Then they played UConn yesterday in Raleigh. So Florida played Friday, Sunday. I was convinced yesterday when the times and the days were assigned to the regions that because Florida is playing in Raleigh, for God's sakes, almost dead on the East Coast, Friday and then Sunday. The Gators probably got home last night at 8 o'clock. Today's Monday. Today's kind of a rehab, maybe look at film on the next opponent. Tomorrow's Tuesday. You probably want to do at least a little light walkthrough in Gainesville. Well, do you travel late Tuesday and fly all the way across country, maybe, and just hope your guys get some sleep on the plane? Do you wait in Gainesville until Wednesday, take off, sleep in your own bed on Tuesday, take off Wednesday? That's a tough trip. And then you have not even 24 hours before you tip off. I don't know. I thought the NCAA why would they not have had the West Coast San Fran regional? Why wouldn't that be a Friday, Sunday as well? You could have given the teams like Florida playing in Raleigh an extra day just to get home. What about Maryland? If you're Maryland, they played Colorado State in Seattle last night. Seattle's about as West Coast as you can get. Maryland is right about as East Coast as you can get, right? You're going all the way across country to get home. You don't think Maryland should have gotten at least one more day? Maryland comes home from Seattle and they played the night game. They played the early night game. Maryland probably got home, back into Maryland, 1 o'clock in the morning. Today is a burn day. They probably maybe went and talked to some professors a little bit. They probably went and had some rehab done. They probably had maybe doing a film session right now on the next opponent, Florida. You got to let these guys catch their breath. They just got back, Maryland. Then they've got to take off all the way to San Francisco. Maryland's going Maryland to Seattle, play a couple of games, win, come back, very little time, get back on a plane and go to why in the world would the Florida, Maryland, and or the West region not be Friday, Sunday, instead of where it's at Thursday, Saturday? You would give Florida and Maryland an extra day. Man, I know, and I know the comeback. Oh, they're 22 years old. I get all that. You've flown coast to coast. I've flown coast to coast. That's a tough trip, man. And I know they chart. I get all that. If that trip goes perfect, it's a tough trip. It is a tough, tough trip. Thank goodness they're playing each other, and one of these teams doesn't have a huge advantage. Like Texas Tech, they played in Wichita. They went back home to Lubbock, and then they're going to go in a few days to half the country, to San Francisco, not the whole country. Arkansas played in Providence, their first 2 games. So they had to come back to Arkansas. At least Arkansas's got a pretty good head start on getting to San Francisco. My goodness. I think the NCAA erred on this, man. Erred. And I saw this coming. And I'm the only guy that's brought it up. Maybe I'm just all wet. I'll throw it to Brent Beard and see his thoughts. And next time we have Patrick on, we will we'll run it by Patrick as well. All right, guys, let's take another break here. We'll wrap up hour number 1. I think Brent Beard will be ready to jump on around the top of the hour. We've got a lot of stuff to throw at Brent, including the SEC showing out as we thought they would in the first 2 rounds of March Madness. That and a whole lot more. It's almost exclusive basketball here, as you would expect, on a Monday edition of the Young Norvelle Show on Action Sports Jacks.
For those dealing with pain from a sports injury, arthritis, or spine condition, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists offers innovative new non-surgical options. Our regenerative medicine treatments, including platelet-rich plasma and other regenerative treatments, use your body's own restorative cells to aid in treating injuries. These procedures are performed in our offices and typically require minimal downtime. If you want to get back to doing what you love, our regenerative treatment options may be right for you. For more information or to schedule an appointment online, visit our website.
Finally, a family atmosphere, kid-friendly restaurant with a real sports bar feel. Bricks Jack's Beach features all of that and a large, climate-controlled covered patio with misting fans and heaters for all seasons. Mix in an extremely diverse menu that features the most quality and affordable steak at the beach, and there's no reason not to enjoy your next lunch, dinner, happy hour, or big sporting event at Bricks Jack's Beach, 300 2nd Street North in Jacksonville Beach. See you at Bricks Jack's Beach.
You really got to hand it to him. Hold on.
The previous play is under further review.
I'm not sure what he could review, but okay. Sure has been a while. Dine in at Hurricane Grill and Wings for the football season. Well, there he is. Oh, what is that?
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jacks to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jacks in your app store, either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jacks 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms, whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV. You can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms, from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained, and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Okay, back we are. Shot of Renegade and Osceola. Gorgeous shot. The problem is Florida State just has fallen off the map with regard to football and basketball. Man, what a strange I keep going back to this, and I don't want to pick on FSU athletics, but as we welcome you back, hour number 2, the Young Norvelle Show here on Action Sports Jacks. Man, it is eerie how off the face of the earth Florida State athletics has fallen. I mean, you have heard nothing. And a 2-10 record in football will do this. But, I mean, you have heard, we have seen nothing of Florida State football. And basketball has been non-existent. I mean, Florida State, the two major sports, I've got a bunch of Florida State friends that are friends of mine that are Florida State fans. And we talk, and we're going to welcome Brent Beard on in a minute, and I know Brent and I have kicked this around. It is, Brent, basketball, of course. And I get it. Florida State is not, we had a bumper shot a minute ago of Osceola and Renegade. Brent, it's eerie how off the map FSU athletics, and you know, baseball they're going to be good in, they're good, and softball, but that doesn't move the needle. FSU, can you remember one of the programs we all follow? I don't care if it's Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, FSU. Can you remember a program, their big two sports, FSU is non-existent right now?
I would say greetings to you, by the way.
Hey, buddy.
And Chino, our mascot, is as soon as he heard your voice, he's up here on the desk. You know, a lot of women react to you that same way.
Yeah, they do. They used to. They'd run the other. They'd hear me and run the other direction. Is what they would do.
Well, look, Terry, has it been since the pre-Bowden era that it has been this dormant, quiet. Look, I'll be interested to see tomorrow night. I think the crowd's going to be sold out, but I think I'll be interested to see how that game goes. What doesn't help them one iota is Mike Norvelle shutting down spring practice from the media except for one day. And you know good and well that will be limited. Listen, please explain that to me.
I don't know.
Tell me how in the world that helps them by doing so.
Yeah, that brand has been so quiet. The brand of FSU athletics, and you're right. Come August, they'll be open a little bit, but you'll get buried in August because of you're competing against the number 1 team in the country, and number 2 team, 3, and all the SEC getting. Man, you want to get that brand out. Anyway, that's enough about FSU athletics. Hopefully they can get it back because it is weird. Brent, March Madness off and running. We had a ton of basketball. You know what? The SEC got 14 teams in, and some of the back half got beat. I mean, Georgia, okay, they probably didn't deserve to be there. Vanderbilt, okay. Oklahoma, okay. Texas, okay. You know what? The top half of the SEC, I mean, Brent, 7 of 16 teams are still alive.
Right.
I mean, that's. I mean, the numbers say the most impressive we've seen ever in March Madness.
Oh yeah, it's a record. It should be. I mean, it's just amazing. The thing the thing that I've had a tremendous laugh about since yesterday is the national media coming on Friday basically saying the SEC was dead. You remember that?
Yes.
Was dead, okay?
Brent, they were putting stock in Texas and Georgia and Oklahoma, the worst teams in the SEC that qualified.
Right.
How did they not see that and not put egg on their face?
Well, there's a national media narrative, and I'm sorry for folks who don't like this, but it really is true that, and I'm not saying all of them, but some of your national writers just love it when the SEC struggles.
I agree.
Now look, is the SEC guilty of beating their own chest and
sure,
and talking about how good they are? Well, but listen, when you've got Terry White, almost half the top 25 throughout the entire season, or in the SEC, I think some of that, frankly, the being proud of who they are, is, I think that's justified.
And Brent, the real test is remember that run SEC won 8 footballs in a row and basketball right now. If that was any other conference, they would be screaming to the heavens from the highest, like you're supposed to.
Absolutely.
Right? You're supposed to. Brent, I thought so far as we sit here, we're down to 16 teams now. I think the 2 most impressive wins so far in March Madness are from the SEC. Arkansas is a 10 seed. Don't forget that.
Yes.
Arkansas is a 10 seed. They knocked off the darling Rick Pitino's tough New Jersey guys. 10 beating a 2, Arkansas St. John's. And I thought a game that went under the radar last night. Ole Miss was a 6 seed. They knocked off 3 seed Iowa State, who's been a top 10, top 15 perennial team all year. I thought those are the 2 biggest wins of the year tournament.
Terry, that Ole Miss game was not even close.
Not even close.
Well, I'm not sure that game wasn't worse than what the score
totally agree.
indicated, because Ole Miss basically buried Iowa State. Look, I know Iowa State has some guys out.
Yeah.
And I get that. But now we know what we talked all year about how good Chris Beard is.
Good coach.
The Ole Miss coach is just tremendous. I mean, he's a savant as far as the defense is concerned. Here's the thing. Let me throw a theory out at you with Cal. Look, people love to make fun of Cal, but it got stale at Kentucky. We know that it did.
I agree.
I think he probably coasted for a while with the talent that he had.
I agree.
There were some folks that were talking about them reaching the Sweet 16. I thought made a good point. Cal has not forgotten how to coach. Cal has been forced to coach with this bunch, and they are they have, and really, Terry, they only have what, 8 players?
Yeah, they just got Boogie.
I think the other thing is getting Boogie be able to get him back. Now think about this. The big question was, could Arkansas put Boogie Flan back in the lineup, and would that disturb their chemistry? And he has not allowed that to happen. And that's pretty doggone impressive to be able to do so.
I thought I watched just about every dribble of Arkansas, St. John's, and certainly I watched every dribble of Florida, UConn. I thought both Pitino and Hurley manipulated the officials to make it a rock fight game, and good for them. Good for them. I thought Pitino's St. John's team got away with a lot under the basket. They're bigs. That big guy for St. John's. He played that whole game. He was the most physical guy in the state. He had 2 fouls. He had 2. I go, how does this guy and good for Pitino and Hurley for trying to turn it into. But, man, tip of the hat. You know, we know Auburn's good and Alabama's good and Florida's good and Tennessee's good. You go and start getting Arkansas and Ole Miss knocking off significantly higher seeds. That's where the conference is hard. Because that's, hey, when you were – Alabama and you played Auburn, and then the following Saturday you played Tennessee. Well, the following Tuesday you had Arkansas and all those athletes. That's where your conference is tough at.
There's no question about that. And that's what really the national people who criticize the league, they really don't understand that, in that is where your power base is. And frankly, A&M should have been with them.
A&M gave that game away.
A&M just absolutely collapsed with a 10-point lead.
Yes.
And Terry just absolutely gave that game away.
Brent, I'm telling you, man, I settled in and watched that. I go, A&M, if they can beat Michigan, right? They played Michigan, right?
Yeah.
A&M. I settled in, and A&M was taking the fight the whole game. Those 7-footers were no factor. I think I got up to go to the bathroom with about 10 minutes left. I'm like, what in the world happened to Texas? A&M, it should be 8 teams in that damn tournament.
It should be.
Brent, what'd you make of, obviously, the rock fight known as Florida and UConn? And we can get to Danny Hurley. We got a long time to talk about this game in a couple segments. UConn turned it into their game early. I thought one of the first things that was odd, and I thought the first half was really odd. UConn shot the ball so bad that their misses rebounded over Florida's box outs.
Really did.
Give me your overview, and then we'll bust this thing down. Todd Golden, I thought second half made a couple of great strategic. He went three-quarter press to slow the tempo. He went to that three-quarter press, and then he went to that high ball screen at the top of the key, and UConn had no answers. How'd you see that game yesterday, top to bottom?
Well, the thing I want to start with is Hurley just crying and griping about about the officials. But look, the officials really probably played in his favor.
I agree, man.
But yet he's going off the court yelling out loud with all these obscenities about how the officials screwed him and all this other stuff. I think overall let me say this. There's one thing that sticks in my craw about the Florida situation. If you're the NCAA, why do you not understand this? Okay, you're playing on a Sunday.
I can't believe this.
And you're going to San Francisco, and you're going to play again on Thursday.
I just spent 15 minutes saying I don't understand. And Maryland got screwed as well. Maryland. They had to leave Seattle. Maryland didn't get home last night or this morning until about 1 a.m.
Right.
They got to head back for a third. Why not put those games on Friday, Brent?
Yeah.
An extra day would be huge. I cut you off. Pick up there.
No, well, I mean, you made my point. It was to me, it's just ludicrous, frankly, for the NCAA not to figure these things out like that. And the travel. I mean, look. If you're, if you're the teams that play in the East, they're staying in the East.
Yeah.
Frankly, I mean, Alabama played in Cleveland. They're going to Newark.
Yeah, that's doable.
Yeah, I mean, they could get in a bus and go to Newark.
But they'll come back to Tuscaloosa, catch their breath, and then take off.
Well, I'll say this, Terry. I asked about that.
Are they staying?
And I think what they're doing is They're taking they're going to Newark and having a couple of days off in Newark.
There you go. Which you can do that a lot easier when you're within bus distance.
Sure.
You bus, you take your time, you bus. You can't bus. Yeah. And I'm so happy that neither Florida nor Maryland, who play each other, right, in San Francisco. I'm glad one team doesn't have a huge advantage, even though I think Maryland gets the shorter end. Maryland played last night at 7:10, and they were in 7:10 Eastern time, right? They were in Seattle. I'm telling you, after that game was over, and I know it was 4 out there, but their body clock said it was 7:10. That's when you were watching it here. That game, media responsibilities, getting showered, packing up your locker, getting to your team bus, getting to the Seattle airport. Maryland didn't get back to the East Coast until after midnight, probably. After Eastern time, midnight.
You're right.
Today you're doing same with Florida. Florida got home probably about 8 o'clock last night to Gainesville.
Right.
That's Sunday night. You're tired. You're beat up. You've been on the road for 3.5. You've been on the road for 4 days. Played 2 games on the road.
Right.
Florida and Maryland today is kind of a, hey, anybody needs to get to the hot tub, see the doc.
Yeah.
Today's a rehab. Absolutely. Today's rehab, probably meet and watch a little bit of film. Tomorrow, you put your game plan in, you go through a walkthrough. Keep in mind, Tuesday, Florida and Maryland may have to think about jumping on a red eye Tuesday night to get to San Francisco. Do you want to, Brent, do you want to wait until Wednesday, fly cross country and play why not give them the extra day till Friday? Why? I don't get it.
I don't either. Frankly, now my understanding is they have to be wherever they're going a day before.
Yes.
Which is logical, I guess. Now we'll get back to the Florida game in a minute. The other thing that made me shake my head was, okay, it's 11 o'clock. You were probably in bed by then.
Yeah.
But you got that Oregon game still going on
I know.
At 11 o'clock on Sunday night.
Somebody just told me, well, Arizona gets to play Duke. I didn't see Arizona. They get to play Duke.
No, absolutely not.
They get to play Duke. Getting back to the Florida game, Brent, other things that grabbed you, Walter Clayton was he finally said, wait a minute, I'm the best player on the court.
Yep,
I'm the best player on the court. That was impressive. The Florida adjustments that Todd Golden made, I thought were impressive. What do you make of Danny Hurley? He reminds me of the modern day Bobby Knight. Everybody thinks he's an ass, but he can really coach basketball. Some of the stuff UConn ran yesterday, that was some good offensive stuff they ran. Their concepts, but man, is he Brent? I predicted he would get ejected yesterday, and I'm telling you, as you watch the game, the camera stayed on this for a split second. The under 4 timeout, Florida was making their run, and UConn is like most teams. They'll put their chairs out on the court to get away from the front row.
Yeah, right.
He was so angry at the under 4 timeout. It was like 3:45. They showed him. He raced onto the court to berate the official. And I watching the game with my daughter. My daughter cooked me brunch, and we watched the game together. Had a great day yesterday. I said, they should tech him up. They should give him a Had they, and he was on the court deep. Had they technicaled him right now, I think he would have lost it. He would have gotten ejected. He's a loose cannon, man. He's a loose cannon.
Yeah, listen, he may have done a Bobby Knight and thrown a chair across the court.
He might have.
But I mean, at some point, that behavior is doing him no favors, and really by what he does. When there's a 50-50 call, oftentimes I think that's going against him just because of his behavior. Now, as far as Florida, now look, Clayton certainly deserved an incredible amount of credit, but to Terry, I thought Elijah Martin was 14 points. He was 6 out of 9, 18 points for the game. Now a lot of it was late in the game, but he had a dunk, a pair of free throws.
Yeah.
Which I thought was huge. Now I'd also be interested to see what Patrick would say about this, but you and I have done sports enough together to appreciate this. Don't you need somewhere along the way that you get behind for a long period of time and that you're able to come back and win? And that's what they did.
It appears in this tournament you can track that down, and you got to have at least one of those. You don't want yesterday's game because it's a nerve-wracking game, but in 6 games you're going to go through that. I want to get back to UConn real quick about Danny Hurley. One thing that stood out, and I didn't notice this until I was driving out and listening to the Gator post game, just rehashing the game, leaving my daughter's place. You know who I was proud of yesterday? I was proud watching the UConn players because I didn't see any of the UConn players any more than just natural.
Yeah.
It would be easy to take on the personality of your coach Danny Hurley,
Sure.
and be a whiny, mouthy. I was proud that UConn's players, they didn't seem to be really, blankety blanks on the court.
Yeah.
They just played the game.
Right. Yeah. Well, they're probably used to that, obviously, from
Maybe.
Hurley. So it's like the child tuning out the parent.
Maybe.
Now, I tell you one thing they did that was impressive is they made Florida play their game.
Yes, they did.
Instead of the other way around. I mean,
Yes,
they
they did.
imposed their will on Florida. They turned it into this slow-paced, physical, tight, phone booth battle.
They did.
Basically. But you and I have talked about this for a while. Florida's good enough this year to where they can play any kind of game and still be able to win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought you said it earlier, and I think most of the people around the country that aren't wearing a UConn jersey, I think most people agree with what I'm going to say. I thought the UConn bigs under the basket were allowed to be much more physical than the Florida bigs. And I also thought along those lines, the guards for both teams, when they drove to the basket, I thought the officiating allowed the UConn guards to body up the UConn bigs to body up the Florida guards without a foul. The other way around, I thought when UConn dove to the basket, that whistle came pretty quick on the Florida bigs. But I didn't think. Did you think the officiating slanted one way or the other? No. I actually thought UConn might have gotten the benefit of the doubt on the whistles more than Florida.
Yeah, but it was pretty close.
I agree.
Frankly, the biggest stat of the game may have been Florida committed 12 turnovers, but UConn only scored 4 points off of 12 turnovers. How? Listen, that's hard to do.
I agree. I agree.
Frankly, you would think they would have gotten more. Florida managed 10 points off turnovers.
Yeah.
Quite a bit more than UConn.
Yeah, and just watching the game, you thought, man, the officials are letting them brawl underneath, and UConn's getting this and getting that rebound. Florida ended up winning the rebound battle.
Yeah.
Florida,
that's a good point too.
And I think I don't know if I don't know if I brought this up with you. I think I did. I know I did it with Patrick. What a weird first half. Here, UConn couldn't throw it in the ocean, but they kept getting rebounds because their misses were so bad.
Right.
They were back rimming and going over Florida's box out.
Weird. Listen, there are two stats in basketball that probably stand out above any others. One is offensive rebounds, and that's one thing that Arkansas was able to do, by the way. And the other is the Terry, in it, the turnover to assist ratio.
I think it is.
Those are the two that you hear about maybe more than any others as being incredibly important.
Before we let you go and bring you back, one more segment, if that's okay. I want to bounce around. We're down to 16, so we've got four. We got 4 games on Thursday, 4 on Friday, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday. By the time Sunday, we're down to 4 teams. Brent, I'm watching the game with my daughter. She was so kind. Her fiance was on a golf trip, so she invited me and made big brunch. We had we had a big brunch, a breakfast brunch at her, and she cooked everything. Got to see the dogs and the cat I hadn't seen in a while. We watched the game, and I'm telling you, Kendall and I think we stopped at like 7. How many times did CBS decide to cut away to the UConn player's mom in the state? You're at one point, me and Kendall are going, okay, it was cute when he went to the line 2 minutes into the game. Okay, I think it was McNeely. Here's Liam McNeely. Hey, and there's his mom, and she's, nervous. Yeah. Okay, that was cute. 2 minutes into the game. Then they showed it again, and then they showed it. And finally, Brent, I bet they cut away to her 7 times in the game. I'm like, are there no Gator parents in the entire arena that you could show?
Yeah, they love these flamboyant parents. Mark Sears' mama gets a lot of credit because she mimics his shooting free throws.
Yeah.
Look, I'm with you on that. there ought to be a limit for the number of times you show parents on television.
And you know our buddy Jeremy Boyd. Jeremy Boyd, who's been who was in TV production for years. He texted me this morning, and he was right. There were a couple of situations yesterday in the Florida-UConn game that they were cutting away. What do you call it? You call it beauty shots. You know, the crowd shot, the parent, the cheerleader. They cut away to beauty shots, and the live ball was going on. There were shots going up, and they were in the crowd, and you're like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, in a game like that, the drama's on the court. The drama's not the stands, and they forget that. By the way, one of my really good sports experiences in my life was doing the Comcast Game of the Week with Jeremy Boyd.
Yeah, he knows TV.
He really does. As a matter of fact, Terry, we and this is a selfish plug here, I guess, but we need to get him on with us one night, but because he does know that. Now, listen, I was people that understand this. I hope I was exhausted when he and I did the Game of the Week. My stories, you did like 3 games of the week.
Ooh, some of it.
When you were doing, you remember that with Comcast?
Yeah, some of it. Hey, they paid. We talked.
No doubt about it.
Hey, and bless Jeremy's heart, he also texted me. Was it last night's Maryland? Last night's Maryland Colorado State game.
Yeah,
I couldn't stay with it, and Jeremy texted me this too. God, I must sound so bad here. The female play-by-play girl squealed the whole game, and she sounded like it wasn't Beth Mowins.
Yeah.
But my God, the pitch. I know people think I hate women. The pitch of her voice was terrible.
Yeah. Now I listened to a lot of the tournament on Sirius Radio.
Yeah.
And that they've got a lot of really good play-by-play guys with that. But one thing I learned, and I'll give Jeremy credit for stuff like this. There's the time, and you know this because you do. You've done play-by-play. Every play does not have to be like the NASCAR car going through the green flag.
Yeah.
And everybody screaming.
Yeah.
It's just not the guys who really do a great job with play-by-play or the ones who can get excited when it's appropriate.
Yeah.
And I don't mean they're sleeping through the rest of the game, but there's times to where you can be kind of matter of fact to get the information out there.
I agree. And, I think what you're saying is, as a play-by-play guy, especially, if you turn it up using a funny movie analogy, remember the Spinal Tap? Turn it to 11. The speakers only go to 10, but turn it to if you turn it to 11 as a play-by-play guy in the first quarter, and you turn it all the way up to 11 in the second quarter of play, and the third quarter. Well, what are you going to do in the fourth quarter when the game-winning play happens? You've already turned it up to 11. You've gone to 11.
Oh, yeah. Now, there's some really good analysts. I tell you one thing, Rafferty.
He's still good.
It is, I find, I will say this. I give him a lot of credit for still doing it. And he does a good job with that. Now, do you at this point, do you get a little tired of the NBA guys?
Oh, absolutely. I love Kenny, and I love Charles, and they're good at what they do, but they're NBA guys. And I'll go to my grave saying that putting them as the 2 main studio analysts, that makes March Madness look small.
Well, let me.
You can just send the big brothers in to take over the fight. I hate that. Well, I get money. Yes. I understand money.
Yes, and they do that for comic relief. Is a reason they basically do it. But look, to that point, still, my brother does sports radio in Huntsville, Alabama, and I'm telling you, he's got probably half a dozen guests who do basketball who would do a better job than the guys they've got on the desk.
Just like Jimmy Dykes. And I'm just trying to think of analysts. Jay Billis and Jimmy Dykes wouldn't do a great job if you pushed them into the NBA studio.
Correct.
It's just not what they do. But the other way around, I think, makes college basketball look small. Just send the big brothers in. Yeah. It's basketball. It's only college basketball. I hate that. Brent, hang around one more segment if you can. Yeah. Let's bounce around. We got 4 games Thursday. 4 games on Friday, and then we will play through a Final Four on the weekend upcoming. That and a whole lot more. Brent Beard sticking around talking college ball with us here on the Young and Norvelle Show on Action Sports Jacks.
Finally, a family atmosphere, kid-friendly restaurant with a real sports bar feel. Bricks Jack's Beach features all of that and a large, climate-controlled covered patio with misting fans and heaters for all seasons. Mix in an extremely diverse menu that features the most quality and affordable steak at the beach, and there's no reason not to enjoy your next lunch, dinner, happy hour, or big sporting event at Bricks Jack's Beach, 300 2nd Street North in Jacksonville Beach. See you at Bricks Jack's Beach.
For over 20 years, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists has been providing the highest level of orthopedic and spine care to patients throughout Northeast Florida. Now, we're making that same great care even more convenient with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists Direct, a walk-in clinic where you can be seen for pain or injuries with no appointment needed. Staffed by orthopedic physicians and specialists, we offer everything from diagnosis and treatment to imaging and bracing, all with no appointment needed. For more information, hours, and locations, visit our website.
You really got to hand it to him. Hold on.
The previous play is under further review.
I'm not sure what he could review, but okay. Sure has been a while. Dine in at Hurricane Grill and Wings for the football season. Well, there he is. Oh, what is that?
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jacks to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jacks in your app store either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jacks 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms, whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV. You can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry. We still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
Summertime means sizzling sales at Nimnick Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Nimnick never charges above MSRP. You can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%.
You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnick Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer.
You can schedule a test drive at NimnickBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnick is there for you, even on Sundays. Visit the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
All right, let's get back to it there. What about that throwback? Miss Pac-Man. I think that's a dig at the age of the two guys talking here, Terry Norvelle and Brent Beard.
Yeah, probably is, yes.
Brent, I bet you were a bandit on that damn Miss Pac-Man game when you were younger days. Were you?
Well, maybe more, maybe a little bit more foosball than it would be now. Is that dating me even more?
Look at those wrists. Look at those wrists. Hey, the foosball. Pow, pow. Hey, are you saying when Brent Beard walked in to the bar and put some quarters on that foosball table, they all went, ooh, Brent's here.
What's that? Yeah, what's that? The Pinball Wizard?
Pinball
Wizard. Song?
Yes, Pinball Wizard. All right, Brent, let's get into it. This thing kicks off again Thursday. We're down to 16. We've got 4 regions now. Everybody will convene in their region. Let's start kind of looking around in the South. 1, 2, 3, 4 teams get together in Atlanta. Nice for Auburn. Should be a big Auburn contingent. And I would think also Ole Miss contingent. I mean, it's exciting time. Exciting time for Ole Miss. The early game in the South, Ole Miss will take on Michigan State. Ole Miss is Chris Beard, right? And you look at Ole Miss. I mean, it doesn't matter how they stumbled into Chris Beard. I mean, Texas probably shouldn't have fired him.
Probably not.
And Ole Miss, but man, good for Ole Miss, man. He's turned them around. They're good. They're good. That's a tall order with Izzo. Izzo,
yeah.
No, he knows how to coach. That's a tall order in that game, right?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think Michigan State. I predicted Michigan State to go to the Final Four and beat Auburn.
I've got them coming out as well. They're my Final Four in the South. So I think I'm like you. I'll be hotty toddy all game long, pulling for Ole Miss. But yeah, that'd be a big upset. Izzo, he's going to have a big, thick, athletic team, and he knows how to coach. Not that Chris Beard doesn't, but I don't know if Beard's quite got the roster yet.
I agree totally. Yes.
The night game and these are Friday. Now we're just going top left first. The night game Friday in Atlanta, Auburn, Michigan. Michigan's pretty good. I watched them almost wire to wire. Michigan's pretty good. They've got a couple 7-footers, but Brent, they're not physical 7-footers. I don't know if you saw them. They've got some athletes, as Michigan always does. I think and I hope Auburn can get by Michigan. What do you think?
I think they probably will. I think the thing Auburn's got to do is put together two halves, frankly.
Yeah.
And they really haven't been able to do that. Now, Dusty May is a coach at Michigan, and I'm telling you, there aren't many young coaches better than Dusty May.
He's nice, isn't he?
And a matter of fact, Terry, probably somebody in the SEC made a real mistake by not hiring him.
Probably, and I think I've got this right. Dusty May is off the Billy Donovan tree, I think. He was at Florida years ago, and then he got where'd he go? FAU or FIU?
Yes.
And did nice things there, and
had that run. Yes.
Yeah, they had that. Yeah, he was the FAU guy. That, by the way, he coached Elijah Martin and John L. Davis at Arkansas. I think he was off the Billy Donovan tree and went down. I think he was a Billy Donovan guy. The worst scenario, you don't want, if you're an SEC guy like we are, you don't want Michigan and Michigan State winning and playing on a Southern basketball court for a trip to the Final Four.
That'd be an insult to SEC basketball. I agree with that. But the pundits on TV, they would love that. They want to see that. And so forth. But yeah, I think that's point well taken. Yes.
Yeah, that would be ugly, but that'll be a fun region. That'll be a fun region. Let's go just kind of diagonal, unfortunately here.
Sure.
Let's go right across. Let's go to the East. Okay. Thursday, your early game Thursday, BYU. They're pretty good. BYU, they've had a good, consistent year. They've been a top 15. Big 12. They're pretty damn good. They got by Wisconsin. They play the 7:09 early game Thursday against Alabama. What are you seeing from Alabama? Has Alabama kind of become old Alabama from this year? Where's the Tide right now?
They've gotten better. Frankly, that they've had 2 big wins here. That's really helped them in the tournament. Some people are going to make fun of the competition, but look, they didn't draw up the schedule.
Yeah,
and they just took advantage of it. But they played very well against St. Mary's. St. Mary's is a lot better team.
They're not bad at all. They
really are not.
St. Mary's. If Gonzaga wasn't Gonzaga,
yeah,
St. Mary's would be Gonzaga the last 15 years. They battle Gonzaga every year. That was a good game the other night.
It was, and listen, what's made the difference for St. Mary's? St. Mary's beat Gonzaga twice this year.
How about that?
Yeah. Which is very unusual. Cliff Omari for Alabama has really come on, the big center. He transferred from Rutgers.
Yeah.
Now for Bama to go, I think Bama will beat BYU, and then they've got Duke. And I'm
looks
not
like
sure I'm not sure they go much further. But I will say this: they've been criticized the whole year for playing down to the level of the competition and not being motivated. Yeah, if they beat BYU, they'll be motivated to beat Duke.
Yeah, and we don't want to blow off Arizona, but yeah, Duke probably playing right up the street, up the coast. Duke should win that game. I'll tell you, Bama and Mark Sears, the last 2 years, he reminds me of Clayton at Florida. Mark Sears and Walter Clayton can easily go off for 30 to 35 points, but their teams generally don't win those games. We went over it. So Sears almost needs to score 22, 24, not 34, just like Clayton. Walter Clayton's, I know I'm almost positive, Clayton's 3 biggest scoring outputs in 2 years at Florida, all in the 30s. They lose those games.
Yeah. And see, what you want from Clayton and Sears is toward the end of the game, they're the ones getting fouled, going to the foul line to keep your lead. And they're savvy players. Now, that's an astute point about Mark Sears. Sears is much better when he scores 10 points instead of 25.
Isn't that funny? Weird.
It is funny with that. But Bama's going to have some guys to really step up. Phylon, their fabulous freshman, needs to do better. Holloway, now Mo Diabetes has played well in spurts. So, that's going to be an interesting game to see if but look, I mean, it's still a feat, beat Duke or not, if you get back to the Elite Eight.
One final thing to go back at Auburn, I just want your opinion. I know it's late in the year; it's hard to change. I've kind of thought, if I was Bruce Pearl, I wonder if I wouldn't start Pettiford.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great player, 5-star off the bench. He's been a great player. I'm not so sure I wouldn't put him in the game and let him play more and see if that could just be a put him over the top thing. I think he's a great player, great athlete.
Well, Auburn's big problem is, now I'll say this about Auburn. Auburn has not played well the last 10 games. I mean, they won most of them, and people say, well, that's all that matters. I agree.
They have not.
But Auburn has not been Auburn. And I'm just telling you, Terry, they've got to be careful. If Baker Mazzara pulls another stunt in this tournament, Pearl needs to jerk his rear end out.
You got to send him home.
Bench.
You got to send him home.
Yeah. Or even to do that. He coached them badly last year. And may have lost that Yale game.
I'll tell you one thing, though, and we've gone through some of the left side. I'll pay good money if I had to watch Alabama and Duke knock heads.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
I would pay good money to see that for 40 minutes and those athletes. Down low on the right side, Midwest, nice little, I don't know if anybody's figured this out, Purdue, basically a home game. Purdue is in Indianapolis, taking on Houston. They'll have a huge crowd there, right?
No, they will.
West Lafayette, Houston, very athletic, and then the first cannibalization game we know we're going to have. How about Tennessee, Kentucky? They play Friday night for a right to go to the Elite Eight. Kentucky beat them twice this year.
Yeah. And I don't know about that one. And again, it really depends on, can Tennessee shoot the basketball? I mean, that's the bottom line. You know, they're going to D Tennessee up to some degree, but Tennessee's as good a defensive team as there is, frankly, in the nation. But they're playing very well right now too. And look, win or lose, Pope has done a great job at Kentucky.
And he really has, and it makes me mad because I've never liked Kentucky basketball. If you're an SEC guy, you're not supposed to like Kentucky because they're the bully, and they've been the bully. And I was never a Pitino guy, and Calipari. Pope is likable, and I hate that. He seems like a likable guy.
And listen, to me, the one part of the reason this run is so good for the SEC is Kentucky's not carrying the banner.
Absolutely.
Other teams have stepped up with this, and that's really. And the other good thing about it is, speaking of cannibalizing itself, I'm glad this is really the first game in the tournament that the SEC teams are facing each other. That's kind of refreshing, frankly.
I was worried. I was worried it was going to happen a bunch.
I was too.
I was worried. Yeah. I hate to put all of it on one player for Tennessee, but man, if Chaz Lanier can stay hot, the kid from UNF, he has been zeroed in the last couple of games. He is hitting those shots, and they're a different team when he's stretching that court to 24 feet. He can really shoot.
And listen, he can go for 30. People may laugh about that, but he can. Ziegler is another guy who I think has played well for them.
Yeah.
All in all, but look, this is if you're a Tennessee fan, this is a crucial time for the Vols because they're looking at, we appreciate
Rick Barnes
getting us this far, but we've yet to go even further. So can they do that?
Is he stuck, right? Is he stuck there? Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And then obviously the one we haven't talked about, we'll talk the rest of the week about this, the West Regional out in San Francisco. We'll start with the late game on Thursday from the West. Do not sleep on Arkansas, Texas Tech. I think that's going to be a war. Those are athletic teams. And don't sleep on Arky. I don't think Cal is the best X's and O's guys, but there seems like there may be a little chemistry forming with Arkansas, and they may think they're a little better. That's going to be a fun game, I think. Arkansas, I don't know who's going to win that damn thing.
No, I don't either. I would agree with that. I'm very impressed with what they've got. Again, we mentioned earlier in the show Boogie Flan coming in and playing well. But look, Cal is really having a coach. I think he's got a new start, shall we say. He's re-energized.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
I don't think there's any question about that. And at Texas Tech, people may not realize that, but they were number 9 in the nation.
Yeah.
Frankly, they lost to Houston, lost to Arizona, but you meant, and this JT Toppin is really a big time player.
He's player of the year in that conference.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. But look, you said it a minute ago. I love Houston. People may not like him, but what Kevin Sampson has done for them to Terry is almost unparalleled. That is, to tell you, that is a nasty, nasty bunch.
They are.
When they get you on the court,
athletic, man.
They are really hard to beat.
They contest every pass. They make it hard. I'll tell you, Houston, Texas Tech, and Arkansas all remind me of each other.
They do.
And I'll even throw, and these two could meet if they both win their next game. Tennessee and Houston remind me a lot of each other. Tennessee plays that grinded out way. We saw the great shot last night for Maryland. Was it a travel? Was it not? The guy made a tough bank, I guess, queen.
Right.
I like Florida's chances with Maryland on Thursday.
Yes.
Maryland plays. They call on 3 guys off the bench, but they don't play much at all. They play 5 guys deep. I think Florida could just run them into submission. But to be honest, I haven't seen Maryland a lot this year. They're not a marquee team. I just don't see them a lot, even though they're in the Big Ten.
And the point needs to be made, and we've seen this and said this for years. I saw the travel like you did. The question is, did he travel? Yeah, he probably did, but it doesn't matter. You know why? Is because at that point of the game, they're not calling it.
Yeah.
And I give them credit, and they want to do more of this, Terry, is let them play. And that, look, at that point of the game, you just can't absolutely, you cannot depend on an official to bail you out.
No. And the guy made a tough shot.
He really did.
He's a big guy. He's not a guard. He was running toward the baseline. That was a tough angle off the backboard, and he made it. And he made it. The other thing was, I had heard that Colorado State, the opponent the other night, they're not a real physical team, and Maryland's got a couple of bigs. Colorado State out-rebounded them. I look at that and I go, I expect Florida's bigs to try. If I'm Todd Golden, he knows more than I know, but I'm coaching my big. I say run, guys. I want my bigs to run that court up and down, run.
Yes.
I mean, they literally, if you look at Maryland's 3 guys off the bench, one guy may play 10 minutes, one guy 5, and one guy. I mean, they go with a hard 5 players, man.
I'll tell you what, there aren't many teams that are as tough as what you're talking about. I mean, Houston, Tennessee. But here's your reality is Florida's not going to play those teams until you get basically to the end. And I think Florida will. I think they'll play. Listen, there's no doubt in my mind they'll play much better in San Francisco after this scare with UConn.
I think so. I think so. Brent, we got about 4 minutes left. We've done a good job on basketball. We'll do it all week. Tomorrow, baseball at the baseball grounds. Florida State,
That's exciting.
Their annual game. I'm going to head down there. I think we're going to do our show right across the street at that bar.
Good.
So if you're anybody's in the area, come by. We'll be 4 to 6. Man, Florida's scuffling in baseball. They've had injuries. They can't find any relief pitching. You realize that speaking of their relief pitching, not this weekend. Georgia just swept them bad in baseball. They beat them up. The week before, Tennessee swept them in Knoxville. You realize Tennessee 10-run ruled Florida in the middle game in Knoxville. In the 7th inning, they 10-run. The game was over, 10-run rule.
Man.
Going into the bottom of the 7th in Knoxville, the game was 1-0.
Man,
and Florida's relief pitching. They've got Kerwin's been injured. They've lost one position player, the big guy. And I'm never going to call for Kevin O'Sullivan with his career. They went to the Final Four last year. People forget. People forget Florida got hot last year. They were 36-30 going into postseason. They got hot and made the Final Four, which counts. But man, it's an odd time back-to-back years. Florida is scuffling in baseball right now.
And you remember last year that they could not win a midweek game to save their lives.
Could not. Now with all that craziness, they play Florida State tomorrow in the baseball grounds.
Yep. Well,
and FSU just went up to number 4 in the country. They're 20-3. Florida's played them once. They played 3 times: Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Gainesville. They played in Tallahassee, and Florida knocked FSU out of the undefeated team 10 days ago. They gave them their first loss. But I don't know, man. They're going to need to. They got to find some bullpen guys. And maybe a little heart. I mean, they're getting beat up right now.
I have to mention this before I go, and it's not that we're beating up on the guy, and this is going back to basketball, but we said this all year long. I'm glad Georgia got into the tournament, but they get into the tournament and then they get behind. Terry, they got behind early. What was it? 15-19, nothing.
Oh, it was game was over.
It was 25-7 or something like that. But listen, Mike White is Mike White. Maybe the most consistent guy I've ever seen. And what I mean by that is, Terry, every year they're going to be around 500 in the conference.
Yeah,
they're going to, their fans are going to be having a prayer meeting whether they get in the tournament or not.
Yep.
Or likely they'll just go to the NIT. But if they get into the tournament, they're way overmatched. Asa Newell was a good player, and I get that. and then that they have another Mike White game and they're out. So
and somewhere next year, they will beat either the Florida, the Alabama, or the Auburn in Athens.
No question.
They'll beat them in Athens because they win one. They win one. They'll beat 26-0 Kentucky in Athens to excite everybody. Mike White. By the way, real quick, I thought Texas had a nice hire today. Sean Miller, longtime coach at Arizona, been at Xavier twice. They went and got him. Obviously, Rodney Terry. And that tells you Texas really didn't think they were a tournament team. That was kind of a fluke playing game. That was a nice win, nice hire by Texas, I think.
I thought it was too. He did a good job at Xavier. And look, what I'd like to know is, I heard they made an overture to Nate Oates, the Alabama coach, but Oates never responded. I mean, now Terry, realistically, with the money they've got over there, how long is that job going to be open?
Yeah,
maybe 2 more hours.
Yeah, you would think. Brent, good stuff. Appreciate you, buddy. Let's do it again the rest of the week.
Good. Look forward to it, brother.
Thank you so much. We're out of here. That'll wrap it up on a Monday. Remember, if you're going to Florida State baseball tomorrow at the baseball grounds, we will do our show live from that bar at the arena. That's the name of it. That bar at the arena, right across from the baseball grounds. We should be set up there 4 until 6. Hope to see you as you're heading to the ballpark. That'll do it for the entire gang. I'm Terry Norvelle. Have a great rest of your Monday. We'll get together tomorrow at 4 o'clock for the next Young Norvelle Show.
At Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, we know pain and injuries can stop you from doing what you love. This is why our board-certified orthopedic specialists offer the latest in both non-surgical and surgical treatment options and create a treatment plan tailored to your unique lifestyle and goals. So, whether it is a sports injury or that nagging pain that's keeping you from doing what you love, our team has the right treatment for you. For more information or to schedule an appointment online, visit our website.
Finally, a family atmosphere, kid-friendly restaurant with a real sports bar feel. Rick's Jack's Beach features all of that and a large, climate-controlled covered patio with misting fans and heaters for all seasons. Mix in an extremely diverse menu that features the most quality and affordable steak at the beach, and there's no reason not to enjoy your next lunch, dinner, happy hour, or big sporting event at Rick's Jack's Beach, 300 2nd Street North in Jacksonville Beach. See you at Rick's Jack's Beach.
You really got to hand it to him. Hold on.
The previous play is under further review.
I'm not sure what he could review, but okay. Sure has been a while. Dine in at Hurricane Grill and Wings for the football season. Well, there he is. Oh, what is that?
The Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network is streaming. I'm Stuart Weber, and I'm here to teach you a nice 3-step process on how you can watch all your favorite programming from the Brent and Austin Show every weekday 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or the Cup Date with me. It's fantastic. We talk NASCAR. It's a great time. Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. All right, first step, easy. Download the Action News Jacks app. You probably already have it downloaded on your phone, so you might already have that one taken care of. Step 2, see that stack of pancakes up there? You click that stack of pancakes, and it's going to bring down step number 3, which is a full screen of all the different streams that you can click on, including the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 stream. You click that, the video's rocking and rolling on your mobile device. You're watching all the shows you want to, and you're having a good time. You can also do it on your smart TV with the Action News Jacks Now app. I do it on my Samsung TV at home. It's a great way to watch it on a nice, large screen for all the content. That's the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Hope you can find it.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater or something a bit more intricate. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 14325.